Okay, so this is a video game review for Incubation Battle Isle Phase 4 for the PC. This game was released in 1997 and developed by Blue Byte, and is a terrific squad-based combat strategy game, which has aged very well simply due to having good gameplay. It's part of the Battle Isle series, but only loosely, as the only other Battle Isle game I've played, Andosia Wars, was a real crapfest of a game. Incubation really shouldn't be associated with it. Sure, Incubation's graphics are chunky and blocky by today's standards, and as you travel through the single-player campaign, some of the levels look quite familiar, but in the crucial area of gameplay, it's still a very accessible, very fun, and thought-out game. The premise is very simple. There's a whole bunch of aliens where your people are stationed, and it's your job to get rid of them. There are 35 missions in all, making this game good value for money, and some have interesting platform moving mechanics and interesting puzzle elements. I generally don't like having loads of puzzles in games, as thinking too long, I believe, tends to remove the player from having fun, the primary purpose of playing computer games. However, these aren't the adventure game type of puzzles which have you hunting around for hours for obscure items, but rather working out which switch will raise the platforms for your men to continue on to their objective. It's fairly simple stuff. Along the way, your men, whom you can name so they become more familiar, and whom you will become somewhat attached to, they gain experience. The skill points that you gain through killing the scay'ger, the aliens, can be put to use, giving them some useful items and weapons at base. The weapons are great for the most part and quite varied. At the beginning of the game you'll be using your standard rifles, bayonets, to fight in close combat with the alien hordes, while later on in the game you'll be picking them off at distance with the very cool rapid fire machine gun, or blowing groups of them apart with the mine layer. Equally, item upgrades such as ammo boxes, various types of armor and medikits all become essential later on. Throughout the levels there are usually equipment boxes which give you the currency to buy these items back at base, and getting to them within the mission itself often provides a bit of a side challenge within the main objectives. The missions mostly involve getting one or two marines to one part of the map, usually the other side, though some involve wiping out all the scay'ger in an area or escorting a civilian or marine from another squad across a level. There are barrels to blow up, switches to activate, doors to open, platforms to cross, and all the enemy units behave differently and provide different challenges. For instance, the Gortha, they've all got interesting names, must be flanked and attacked from behind in order to score damage because they're invulnerable from frontal assault, whereas to kill the Siku you must have a unit put into defense mode nearby, and when it attacks your unit will fire into its open mouth and kill it that way. The layout of the maps, the variety in enemy and effectiveness of weaponry, added to the fact that you'll probably kit your marines out differently to get a good spread of skills, so have a medic, have a sniper, that sort of thing, and abilities. All these different things combine to make a very deep strategic game that blocky graphics just can't take away from. The sound effects of the aliens sound right, the music is atmospheric and well suited to the game. If you stuff up something part way through a turn, you can actually click undo to undo your mistake, and you can save and load at any time, even during the mission. The numerous camera options are all suited to making sure that you can pretty much see anything on the map, and are comprehensive, something that so many games, especially even modern games, seem to get wrong. Having decent camera options is just one of those things that can really let down a game, but in Incubation it's all done very well. While I haven't ever played it much, there is a multiplayer mode, both via the internet and on the same PC. This allows you to create a team and go head to head against up to 3 other human players. The parameters of your team and their makeup, how many members they have, what type of equipment you give them, they're all pretty much left up to you, and there are plenty of multiplayer maps. However, this mode does seem to have objectives hard-coded into the missions themselves, into the levels, rather than just the usual kill your enemy. This doesn't make it bad, it's just it isn't all that obvious where these objectives come from, whether they're tied to a particular level that you've selected, or if you can even change it, which I don't think you can. Furthermore, there's no team mode from what I can tell. I don't play this mode very often, and the single player instant action mode has fewer maps to play on, but then again you do have the main campaign to play. So like I said, I don't really play the multiplayer mode all that much, but I suppose if you could find someone who enjoys this game as much as you do, I suppose it could be a bit of fun to have if you've finished the main campaign. That all said, this is an excellent game. It's in my opinion, a truly ageless game. While I have had trouble getting it to work on various sort of higher end computers, if you see this going cheap, definitely have a look at it, especially if you're into your team-based strategy games. I'm not much of a fan of them, but this game does everything so well that it's hard to find too much to fault it. It puts many modern team-based strategy games to shame with its just sheer addictiveness and solid gameplay. You can easily look past the chunky graphics. The story is fine for its day, and the gameplay is terrific and very deep. There's plenty of things that I haven't really covered here, which you will find out if you play this game. Tactical ways to play it. It's the kind of game that if you fail during a mission, then you replay it and you replay it and you replay it in order to work out what it was, at what point did you make a sort of bad move, or did luck maybe go against you? Maybe that turn when you really needed to kill those 2 enemy scay'ger, something didn't quite go right. And it's one of these games that, like I said, you go over what you did wrong, but it's better for it. There's a few games where, like, if you keep on repeating something, it gets frustrating, but usually in this game you don't have to repeat things too many times, and it's far more satisfying when you get it right, when you realise that, you know, every move kind of counts. So this game it manages to stay fun while at the same time giving you time to think about what you're doing during a game, which for me is a very rare thing indeed, to have a game where you're thinking an awful lot and having fun at the same time. That's a rare thing indeed. So to me, this is a genuine classic, Incubation. It gets an 8 out of 10. And that's me.